Liverpool said to be challenging Manchester City's move to reduce their away capacity for their match between the two sides at the Etihad in April. Yeah. But I wonder, Simon, is that the best course of action as far as Liverpool are concerned to challenge the move? Basically, Liverpool have approached the Premier League about the issue after the ticket allocation for the match at City was reduced from 3,000 to 2,400. Now, Liverpool, we know what's going on in the past. The fixture's become a bit more toxic in recent times. But you remember in December,
it was coming now, wasn't it?
Well, the Carabao Cup tie at the Etihad, a 15-year-old female City fan was struck by a pot weighted with coins that had been thrown from the visitors' area.
It's outrageous, isn't it?
It was absolutely outrageous.
I mean, there was behaviour on both sides of the equation. The Man City fans ridiculing and making unnecessary observations about the awful tragedies that have been featured in Liverpool's past, and so on and so forth, and that's been complained of by the Liverpool fans. Liverpool fans talking about these incidents, and Liverpool as a football club talking about Man City. The football world's got to intervene, and they've got to turn around and say, well, we've got to do something about this, because if there really is this concern about the nature of the increase in the volume of abusive terrorist chants and unfair behaviour and behaviour that should not be at football stadiums, that move beyond the tribalistic banter into absolutely unpalatable scenarios, what do? So Man City have gone, right, we're going to take the first step. Because the next
we're going to cut it by 600.
The next fixture is out. Next fixture out of the gate is us. So we're going to start the blueprint. And of course, Liverpool are going to defend their position, because they're going to turn around and say, if we don't do this, Liverpool fans are going to pile into the Liverpool ownership. So as a matter of optics, they're going to say we're going to push back against it. But what they really should be saying is, look, this is the consequences of certain segments of our fan base's behaviour. We're going to do the same to Man City as a consequence of their behaviour, and then we're going to get in a situation like Celtic and Rangers for different reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
then people might understand, Jim, that there's a consequence for behaviour. People might understand that. The bigger picture is, which is the lesser evil? Liverpool fans' rights or unacceptable behaviour inside football stadiums? You and I rail against the system saying, well, someone's got to do something about it. Don't get these silly little Burke MPs coming out and saying we've all got to be nice to one another. Let's have somebody do something that says they're going to mean what they say.
And here we have Manchester City doing something.
And here we have Manchester City doing it.
I get you. And they've actually taken this line of an approach even after the game came and went, and before it, both clubs appealed for CAM. So, I mean, I do suppose there's no other. There is no other solution.
Well, the more you appeal for,
fans here reap what they sow, don't they?
Every day, or this segment of fans that behave this way, and this is the tragedy that I always maintain about shutting down stadiums and making them behind closed doors, because you penalise the masses for the behaviour of the minority. But tragically, this is the reality of it. You reap what you sow. If you want to behave in a certain way, or certain segments, because the point is, Jim, if you plead with a certain person to behave in a certain way, they'll behave worse because they've got the attention that they wanted in the first place.
Yeah,
so you're almost caught in, what do I do? What do I do? Do I not say something to them? I'll be criticised for not saying something. Do I say something to them and know that they're going to be even worse as a result of me saying it to them?
So what do you think of Liverpool's approach here? Liverpool are saying, right, we've been in contact with the Premier League and Manchester City to challenge this decision. The club's committed to having as many fans as possible in stadiums for Premier League matches. Okay, but for this one, surely they know why Manchester City have taken this to reduce it to 2,400.
Two things I would say. Whose optics do you want to appeal to the best? The football world or your own fans, right? So they're going to turn. If they allow this to happen, there will be a segment of Liverpool's fans that turn on Henry and his management and say to him, "Why aren't you defending us? Why have you allowed this? Why would you allow one of our biggest rivals to impose a sanction upon us that we didn't do upon them? Why would you let that happen?" So they've got to do it.
So there's a look more here. Liverpool have got to be seen to be challenging it.
Well, I think so, yeah. I mean, ultimately, the tragedy of it is, if there was actually a real belief in the fact that there needed to be change, both football clubs would accept the ramifications of their fans' behaviour and accept that this was a necessary step.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And if you say anything to criticise Liverpool fans, then people get up in arms and start getting all defensive about it. And of course, there's been reasons why Liverpool fans, lots of them, and most recently won the Champions League, where they've been absolutely right, they've been treated appallingly. But there were also instances where Liverpool fans need to be held to account. Singing about the 1958 Munich crash is not funny. And other things that have been said, and it isn't funny to sing about Hillsborough. It isn't funny to talk about Heysel. These are not funny, bantery, Joshy, let's get one up. It's not funny to sing to the Leeds fan about Turkey. None of that is funny.
No, absolutely not. The concern here, though, is that by reducing allocations, incidentally, did you ever do it at Palace? Reduce the away support allocation by X amount because of?
No, I didn't. I was advised to do it, but I didn't. We had Millwall and obviously Brighton, two very big games for the club. Millwall with all their reputation. and Brighton with the dynamics of it all, and I didn't. I expected my policing costs and my stewards to do their jobs.
So you actually went against safety advice?
Well, no, because the safety advice, in the end, will put you in a situation where if you compromise yourself too many times, you'll get yourself into a safety certificate issue. But what you do is the police work for me. I don't get dictated to by what the police tell me. I pay them. They're an employed service. So I'll discuss with the police what we can and can't do, and then I'll tell them what I wanted to do. And if there was massive, massive resistance to it, which there never was, then I would consider it.
Were you in the receiving end at any time? Did a club ever try and reduce Palace's away allocation? No, you never. Your fans had never done anything to bring that on, obviously. But is there a danger we might go in the direction of where they've got to with the Old Firm in Scotland? You and I have been up there, and we know what's going on there. Where more recently, Rangers have said no to any away Celtic fans, and Celtic are saying no to any away Rangers fans. So it's all home fans at both Celtic Park and Ibrox, and
it's a tragedy.
Totally takes away from the event.
And that's a tragedy. And we were up there 18 months ago, and the sentiment that I was being led to believe was the case was that Celtic players were celebrating so many times at Ibrox that Rangers got the hump with it. Or the other way round, it might have been. It might have been Rangers celebrating so many times at Celtic. No, it would have been Celtic, wouldn't it? Because Rangers were recovered, first time, right?
Yeah.
So the bottom line was that's not much of a reason for taking fans out of commission. Then you're told again by the incumbent Celtic chief executive, who was gone pretty quickly after that game, wasn't he? That there was more of a reason that there was real sectarianism stuff going on, and it was becoming more troublesome.
Yeah.
The bottom line is that you're never going to square this circle, Jim. We're never going to stop a segment of football fans behaving in a fashion that most civilised people don't want. You're never going to stop the individual and a few individuals, but the individuals cannot be, surely, the gateway for stopping the majority. But there does also need to be some sort of indication that this is serious.
Sure.
And there needs to be a consequence
So what
for
we're
it.
saying to Liverpool this morning, your allocation has been reduced from 3,000 to 2,400. Get on with it.
In the ideal world where everyone says we want to sign up to this new charter, all the football clubs put this out on their websites, don't they? We want to change. We want to affect outcomes. We want our fans, except when it affects us. We don't want any consequences.
Yeah.
So there's a hypocrisy behind it, but I also understand the other side of the argument, which is if they don't, their own fan base are going to turn on them. So who's going to defend us then? It's not our fault that 10 people were rude about Man City or whatever it was. But which do you want? Which do you want?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.